Sometimes you feel like you're moving forward. You make decisions, you create plans, you dream about new versions of yourself. But in silence, something pulls you back. And it's not that you don't know what to do. You know. You've read, you've listened, you've tried. But every day, even before opening your eyes, you're already trapped inside the same cycle. The same body, the same emotions, the same thoughts. It's not that you lack information, it's that you keep feeling like the person you used to be. You wake up and before thinking, you're already feeling what you've always felt. Before choosing, you're already reacting like yesterday, and that yesterday repeats itself. Not because the universe wants it that way, but because you, without realizing it, keep choosing it. Not with words, but with your vibration, with your emotional identity, with the way your body learned to be you. You're trapped, not because there's no way out, but because you keep walking in circles wearing the same broken shoes. And that cycle, that invisible prison, doesn't break with desire alone. It breaks with presence, with awareness, with the silent decision to not repeat the same thing today. This video isn't about motivation. It's about awakening, about seeing clearly what truly binds you. Because if you don't change your state will keep creating the same life. And if you don't release the old identity, you'll be condemned to live a new version with the same character as always. The illusion of wanting. You want a new life. You repeat it every day like a mantra. I want peace, I want abundance, I want freedom. But something doesn't fit, because what you're living doesn't resemble what you say you want. It's not because the universe isn't listening. It's because you're not responding with coherence, because your body, your energy keeps vibrating like the version of you that you're trying to leave behind. You can say, I want something new 1,000 times, but if every cell of your body keeps screaming, I am the same as always, what manifests is the old. And it's not magic. It's biology, it's physics, it's vibration. Desire has no power when there's no transformation. You can write down goals, visualize scenarios, repeat affirmations. But if at the end of the day you return to feeling anxiety, frustration, or lack, that's what you're feeding. That's what the field responds to. Because reality doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your state. There are those who desire with force, but vibrate with fear. Others declare changes, but walk with guilt. And some convince themselves they're ready while their body is programmed to sabotage everything. Desiring doesn't make you free. What liberates you is acting like someone who already stopped desiring because they already are. Not because they have everything, but because they embody the frequency of someone who no longer identifies with lack. The real question isn't what you want, it's what you're holding, because that and only that is what you're creating. The prison of learned identity. Most people don't live from their essence. They live from a learned version, a mask that formed in childhood, in adolescence, in the scars that nobody saw. You are not what you really are. You are what you were taught to do to survive. They told you that you were weak and you believed it. They rejected you and you learned to shrink to be accepted. They abandoned you and your body programmed itself not to trust, not to feel, not to want too much. Each of those wounds sculpted an identity, not authentic but functional. And it worked because thanks to it you made it here. But what once protected you now limits you. What once was armor is now a cage, and that cage isn't outside. It's in your language, in your reactions, in the automatic way you explain to yourself who you are. I'm not good at this, I always ruin it. That's just how I am. Phrases that don't describe your essence but your conditioning. Nobody forced you to be this way, but nobody taught you to stop being it. Identity isn't stable, it's not destiny. It's repetition. It's a vibration your body learned to hold, an emotion that became home even though it hurts, a pattern that activates before you think, before you choose. And you know what's hardest? Sometimes you prefer the known pain to the emptiness of the unknown. You prefer to keep being who you've always been, because at least you know how it works, even if that version is destroyed inside. But there's a crack in all of that, a silence that opens when you realize, I am not this story. I don't have to keep playing this character. Identity isn't a cage with a lost key. It's old skin and you can shed it. But first you have to see it. Your body decides before you do. There's something nobody told you. Your body decides before you do, before you think, before you choose, before you declare, "I'm going to change." Your body has already responded with an emotion, with a reaction, with an impulse that's been repeating for years. You think you're deciding, but who's driving is the automatic version of yourself. You wake up with intention. You say, "Today will be different." But as soon as a notification sounds, as soon as someone contradicts you, as soon as the slightest discomfort appears, your body returns to the past, and with it all your behavior. Because your body doesn't obey your words, it obeys your chemistry. And if for years you lived in alert, in frustration, in guilt, your body became addicted to that state, literally. It's not a metaphor, it's somatic memory. Your nervous system learned to feel like you in the midst of chaos. And when there's no chaos, it seeks it, because peace, although healthy, is unknown. And the unknown. The body interprets it as a threat. Do you realize? You can have the best intentions in the world, but if your body is trained to survive, it won't allow you to flourish. That's why so many people repeat the past even though they desire a future. Because their body, not their conscious mind, already chose to stay the same. Breaking this isn't easy, but it's possible. And it starts with one thing: presence. When you're present, you interrupt the sequence. When you breathe before reacting, when you observe before repeating, when you feel without fleeing, you're creating space. You're reclaiming control. You are not your body. You are not your impulses. But you need to recognize them. If you want to stop obeying them, the silent language of emotion. Your life doesn't repeat because destiny wants it. It repeats because you, without realizing it, repeat the same emotion over and over. And that emotion is the silent language that shapes your reality. Fear doesn't just feel, it becomes small decisions. Guilt doesn't just hurt, it directs your choices. Anxiety doesn't just discomfort, it pushes you to control, to accelerate, to distrust. And when that emotion becomes frequent, it becomes identity. And when it becomes identity, it becomes destiny. If your most common emotion is tiredness, you'll attract scenarios that validate that exhaustion. If you live feeling like you're not enough, you'll attract constant proof of scarcity. Not because you're being punished, but because your vibration asks for more of the same. It's a formula as simple as it is brutal. What you feel most is what you create most. And the most dangerous thing of all? Many times you don't even notice it. You've gotten so used to living tense, worried, on alert, that you no longer question it. And that state, although uncomfortable, became familiar, and what's familiar is what the body seeks to repeat. But today I ask you a simple question. What emotion are you feeding every day? How often do you feel anger, or resignation, or fear? Because that, not your pretty words, is what's designing your path. Emotion is frequency. Frequency is signal, and signal creates form. If you want a new life, don't start with what you desire. Start with feeling different. And to feel different, you first need to look at what you're feeling now. Without judgment, without guilt, just with truth. Because truth, when seen face to face, begins to dissolve. The power of coherence. You're not creating with your desires. You're creating with your coherence, and that changes everything, because you can want abundance. But if you live from scarcity, what you reinforce is lack. You can ask for love, but if your heart is closed, what you emit is protection. You can dream of freedom, but if you move with fear, the universe doesn't receive the signal of desire, but the frequency of dread. It's not about what you say, it's about what you hold. Life responds to the vibration you can maintain effortlessly, not for a minute, not during a meditation, but in daily life, in your gestures, in your habits, in your silences. And there's the conflict. Most people want to change their life, but don't change their energy, don't change their attitude, don't change their internal conversation. And if you don't change your state, the field doesn't change the response. The universe doesn't deliver what you desire. It delivers more of what you're already being. Because manifesting isn't asking, it's embodying. Embodying a new emotion, a new internal posture, a new frequency. Not to force results, but because you know you're no longer who used to beg reality. Coherence isn't faked, it's cultivated. And when you are coherent, reality has no choice. It responds. The art of observation. You can't change what you don't see. And that's the problem. You live on autopilot. You react, you respond, you decide without noticing where you're doing it from. Your body already learned the paths. And while you think you're making decisions, you're really just executing memories, old emotional roots, old patterns that carry your name but not your truth. And that's where observation comes in. Not to judge yourself, not to correct yourself, but to see. Because seeing is already starting to change. The next time someone provokes you, the next time fear whispers to you, the next time you're about to react, like always, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, am I repeating or choosing? Because in that second of silence, something changes. Your body wants to explode, wants to run, wants to close, but you, the observer, are present, and your presence interrupts the cycle. Observing isn't passivity, it's pure power. It's the first act of rebellion against your old identity. It's the invisible decision to not keep functioning like always. When you observe, you open space, and in that space, you can plant something new, a different response, a higher emotion, a conscious choice. You don't have to change everything at once, you just have to be there when the old version wants to take control. Because every time you choose to see instead of repeat, you break a thread of the old script. And thread by thread, what seemed like destiny becomes option. A decision that marks the moment pause. This isn't just a video, it's a mirror. And now that you're here, present, attentive, there's a decision you can make. Write in the comments, "My new life begins with me." Not because it's a pretty phrase, not because you want to convince anyone, but because writing it is an act, a signal that you're awake, a way to mark the exact moment you decide to stop repeating. When you write something with presence, you affirm it, you name it, you choose it. And if you choose it, you can no longer pretend you don't know. Because now you're responsible, not to do it perfectly, but to hold yourself in movement. Your new life doesn't arrive from outside. It's born from within. And it starts the instant you stop living as if nothing will change. So write it with intention, with truth, and with your body present. My new life begins with me. Beyond words, the language of behavior. It's not about what you think or what you say. Your life doesn't change with affirmations or with desires or with promises. Your life changes with behavior, because reality doesn't respond to your unconscious intention. It responds to your embodied coherence. If you say you want peace but react with anger, you're reinforcing war. If you desire abundance but choose from fear, you're planting scarcity. If you affirm you want love but keep closing your heart, you're building distance. What you live isn't the reflection of what you ask for. It's the reflection of what you do while asking for it. And there's the trap. Many believe that manifesting is visualizing, decreeing, repeating. But no. Manifesting is acting like someone who already released the version that sabotaged everything. Real coherence happens when thought, emotion, and action go in the same direction. When you don't just think about change, you feel it in your body and express it in your decisions. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about aligning what you are with what you choose to be. And that's trained in the small things. Want a new life? Start today acting like someone who already lives that life. Not to pretend, but to vibrate differently. Change the tone of your voice, the way you get up, the manner you respond when everything falls apart. Because every small, coherent act is a vote in favor of your new identity. And when the vote repeats, it becomes frequency. And when frequency is sustained, reality responds. You don't attract what you say. You don't create what you desire. You manifest what you live. And what you live is born from how you behave today. A ritual of rebirth. If you truly want to exit the cycle, understanding isn't enough. You have to interrupt it with intention, with body, with a decision that isn't said but lived. Today I invite you to perform a small ritual. It's not complicated, it's not magical, but it can be the exact moment when something breaks inside to open space for the new. Everything begins when you allow yourself to look directly at that old version of you. The one that drags patterns, fears, sabotages, the one that lives on autopilot. Close your eyes, breathe, and name it. Not with anger, not with shame, just with truth. Name it to stop hiding it. Maybe it's the you that always postpones, or the one that gives up before trying. Whatever it is, it now has a name. And when something has a name, you can let it go. Then visualize how that version begins to release. Maybe it breaks like an old shell. Maybe it drifts away like smoke that no longer belongs to you. You don't need to expel it. Just thank it, because thanks to it you survived. But today you choose to live, and in that space that remains, you begin to embody a new identity. Not an unreachable perfection, a true possibility. A version of you that breathes before reacting, that chooses with awareness, that moves with intention. Walk like that version. Feel like them. Let your body remember, because the more you embody it, the more you believe it. And the more you believe it, the more you are it. And now seal it with a phrase that isn't a mantra or empty affirmation. It's a code, an anchor. Today I act as who I already am tomorrow, not as someone waiting, but as someone who already is. Repeat it quietly and feel how that phrase affirms you from within. You're not pretending, you're remembering. And by remembering, you're creating. Do this every time you feel you're returning to the same script as always. Not to escape chaos, but to remember you're no longer who got lost in it. The transformation is you. Maybe now everything seems clearer, not because the world changed, but because you've begun to see yourself with new eyes. You're not waiting for a transformation. You are the transformation. It's not something that will come from the future. It's something born every time you decide not to repeat. Real change doesn't make noise. It happens in the intimate, in the instant you say, enough abandoning myself, enough walking in circles, enough being the version that no longer represents me. You don't need all the answers, you just need presence and the courage to move forward, even when you don't yet see the complete path. What chains you is what you keep feeding, and what liberates you is what you choose to start holding now. Clarity is only the beginning. What truly transforms is the decision. And after it comes movement. And it's in this instant now where you can do it differently, not with grand gestures, but with a simple act, following what you already know is true. If this video brought you clarity, don't disconnect from your new version, because the old mind will want to return and the old environment will try to drag you back. But every time you choose to surround yourself with content that propels you, you're building the path of someone who did decide to move forward. Subscribing to this channel isn't a superficial gesture, it's a vibrational choice, a way to remind yourself day after day, who are you choosing to be? Do it for yourself, for that part of you that no longer wants to stay asleep, for that frequency that just activated in your body, for the life that's still to be created. Subscribe not just to watch more videos, but to stay in movement, to not let go of the thread you started pulling today. Maybe now everything seems clearer, not because the world changed, but because you have begun to see yourself with new eyes. Your new life begins with you.